Humans want stability. Not luxury at first, not yachts, not golden bathtubs, just stability. A place to sleep without fear, food in the kitchen, a phone that works, bills paid on time, a little left over for something pleasant, like coffee, music, or one meal they did not have to cook themselves after a long day. This seems like a reasonable design for a civilization. But on Earth, humans keep having a strange experience. They wake up, go to work, earn money, try to live carefully, and then one day they notice something unsettling. The same life costs more than it did before. Bread is more expensive, rent is more expensive, electricity is more expensive. Even the cheap cereal has become ambitious. Many humans describe this feeling with a simple sentence: everything is getting expensive. From my observation, that sentence is emotionally correct, but not precise enough, because what they are really seeing is inflation. And inflation is not just prices went up. It is a process, a pattern, a force that changes how money behaves, how people shop, how businesses react, and how an ordinary human starts feeling nervous in a grocery store for reasons that seem absurd until you understand the mechanism. So let us observe one human. His name is Alex. Alex is 31 years old. He has a full-time job. He rents a small apartment near the city because his commute is already long enough to damage his spirit. He pays for groceries, public transport, electricity, internet, a phone plan, and one streaming service that he swears he will cancel but never does. He is not reckless. He is not buying helicopters. He is simply trying to live what humans call a normal life. 3 years ago, Alex could buy chicken, rice, fruit, soap, and coffee without doing advanced emotional preparation first. Now he stands in the supermarket holding the same basket, looking at the total like it personally betrayed him. This is where inflation begins to feel real. Inflation means that over time, the general price of goods and services rises, and the buying power of money falls. That last part matters most. Buying power means what your money can actually get you. If last year $10 bought enough groceries for 2 simple dinners, and this year the same $10 buys 1 dinner and half a sad onion, your money has lost buying power. The paper or the number in the banking app may look the same, but its practical strength has weakened. That is inflation. Humans often hear the word and imagine something abstract, like economists in gray rooms pointing at charts. But Alex does not experience inflation as a chart. He experiences it at 7:12 p.m. under supermarket lighting while deciding whether olive oil is still part of his personality. At first, he assumes it's just one product. Maybe coffee had a bad harvest. Maybe eggs are having a complicated year. But then he notices it everywhere. Bus fare is up, rent is up, takeout is up. The sandwich near work now costs enough to feel insulting. This is important because inflation is not about one item getting expensive. One product can rise for all kinds of reasons. Maybe a crop failed, maybe fuel costs increased, maybe demand surged. That is just a price change. Inflation is broader. It happens when many prices across the economy start rising over time. So why does that happen? This is where humans become fascinating, because inflation can start in different ways, but once it begins, it spreads through everyday life very quickly. Imagine Alex's neighborhood bakery. To sell bread, the bakery needs flour, electricity, employees, packaging, transport, rent, and equipment. If the price of wheat rises, flour becomes more expensive. If electricity rises, ovens cost more to run. If the landlord raises rent, the bakery pays more just to exist in that building. If fuel gets more expensive, delivery costs rise too. If workers need higher wages because their own lives are getting more expensive, labor costs rise as well. Now the bakery owner has a choice: accept smaller profits or raise the price of bread. Usually the bread price rises. Alex walks in, sees the new price, and thinks, bread got expensive. But the bread did not wake up one morning and decide to be difficult. It is carrying the cost of many things behind it. This is one of the easiest ways to understand inflation. Prices at the end of the chain rise because costs earlier in the chain rose first. And yet, that is only one part of the story. Sometimes inflation also happens because there is too much money chasing too few goods. Humans made money to simplify exchange. Good choice. Trading one haircut for 6 potatoes would create scheduling problems. But money works best when the amount of money and the amount of things to buy stay in some kind of balance. When more money enters the system or more spending power appears, people and businesses can buy more. That sounds excellent. But if the economy cannot produce more goods and services fast enough, demand rises faster than supply. More people want the same things. Sellers notice, prices go up. This is the classic idea. Too much money chasing too few goods. Let's make this less boring. Suppose every human in Alex's city suddenly gets extra cash. That week, more people order food, shop for electronics, book repairs, and go out to dinner. But the number of trucks, workers, apartments, eggs, mechanics, and restaurant tables did not magically double overnight. So demand jumps, supply stays limited, and prices start climbing. This is demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation happens when demand grows faster than the economy's ability to supply goods and services. Humans love naming things like this. It makes chaos sound organized. But there is another kind. Cost push inflation happens when businesses face higher costs and pass them on to customers. That's what happens when fuel rises, materials rise, rent rises, wages rise, or imported parts become more expensive. Companies push those extra costs into the final price. So now, Alex is trapped between two forces. Sometimes prices rise because people are spending more and competing harder for available goods. Sometimes prices rise because producing those goods became more expensive. And often these two things happen together, which is very efficient if your goal is to make humans tired. Now let's go to Alex's apartment, because this is where inflation becomes painful. Rent is his biggest monthly cost. Housing is special because humans cannot simply take a break from it. You can delay buying new shoes, you can stop ordering dessert, you can pretend your cracked phone screen is a design choice, but you cannot cancel shelter. And when housing prices rise, the rest of life tightens immediately. Alex's landlord raises the rent. Maybe property taxes rose, maybe maintenance got more expensive, maybe demand in the area increased because more people want to live near jobs, trains, schools, and places that sell decent coffee. Maybe there just aren't enough homes for all the humans who need them. Whatever the reason, Alex pays more. That means less money for groceries, savings, entertainment, travel, and emergencies. This matters because inflation does not hit all prices equally. Some prices matter more because they sit at the center of life. Housing, food, transport, and energy are heavy categories. When those rise, humans feel it fast. And then Alex notices another strange thing. He did get a raise at work. Not a huge one, but something. For one brief, shining afternoon, he felt like a competent mammal. Then life continued. Rent rose, groceries rose, insurance rose. Suddenly, his raise felt decorative. This brings us to one of the most important ideas in inflation. There is a difference between earning more money and being able to buy more life. If Alex's salary goes up by 3%, but his living costs go up by 6%, he's not ahead, he's behind. His nominal income rose, but his real income fell. Nominal income is the number of dollars on paper. Real income is what those dollars can actually get you. Inflation attacks real income. That's why humans can work just as hard or harder, receive more money than before, and still feel poor. They are not imagining it. Their money is weaker in the real world. This is also why inflation creates confusion. Alex looks at his pay and thinks, I earn more now. Then he looks at his bank account near the end of the month and thinks, so why does it feel worse? The answer is that income alone means very little without buying power. Now, here's where things get even stranger. Once humans expect prices to keep going up, their behavior starts to change in ways that can feed inflation further. Workers ask for higher wages because their lives cost more. Reasonable. Businesses then face higher labor costs and raise prices. Also reasonable from their point of view. Then workers see those higher prices and ask for more wages again. This can become a loop. Economists call this a wage price spiral. Very dramatic name, very annoying reality. It doesn't always happen in full force, but the principle matters. Inflation is not just numbers moving once. It can become self-reinforcing if expectations shift. If everyone starts assuming prices will keep going up, they act differently now. Businesses price more aggressively. Workers negotiate harder. Consumers buy sooner because waiting seems risky. This expectation itself starts changing the economy. Alex does not use the phrase inflation expectations in daily conversation because that would reduce his social invitations, but he does feel it. When he hears that prices may rise again, he fills up the tank earlier. He buys household items before they cost more. He becomes slightly more anxious and slightly less patient. Humans call this planning. From orbit, it looks like low-grade panic with spreadsheets. Now let's discuss one more trick inflation plays. Sometimes the price does not rise in a direct way. Sometimes the product quietly shrinks. Alex buys a bag of snacks he used to enjoy after work. Same brand, same color, same smile from the cartoon animal on the package. But the bag is lighter, the pieces are fewer, and the joy is somehow more expensive. This is shrinkflation. Shrinkflation means the price stays the same or rises only a little, while the amount of product gets smaller. Humans find this especially irritating because it feels sneaky. The price tag did not scream at them, the package simply went on a silent diet. Economically, it is still inflation. Alex is paying more per unit than before. It is just disguised in a less honest costume. And then there is the service economy, which is where modern life becomes absurd in a very polished way. Alex orders food from his phone because he came home late and his brain can no longer perform chopping. The meal itself costs more than it did last year, but that is not all. There is a delivery fee, a service fee, maybe a small order fee, and a tip suggestion presented with enough moral pressure to trigger reflection on class structure. This is another way inflation enters daily life. Services get more expensive too. Why? Because services need labor, rent, energy, software, transport, insurance, and financing. When all of that becomes more expensive, services rise in price just like physical goods do. This is why inflation feels so total. It follows humans into stores, apps, buses, restaurants, apartments, repair shops, and even small pleasures. It changes the texture of ordinary life. At this point, Alex starts asking the obvious question. If inflation is so harmful, why do humans not just stop it? Excellent question. They try. Central banks exist partly for this reason. A central bank is an institution that helps manage a country's money and tries to keep prices relatively stable. One of its main tools is interest rates. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. When inflation gets too high, central banks often raise interest rates. This makes borrowing more expensive. Loans cost more, credit card debt hurts more, mortgages become heavier, businesses may invest less, consumers may spend less. In theory, this cools down demand and slows inflation. So if Alex wanted to finance a car, buy an apartment, or carry a balance on his credit card, higher interest rates make all of that more painful. This is the strange human solution. To slow rising prices, they sometimes make money harder to borrow, which can also make life feel harder in the short term. It's like trying to cool an overheated room by opening the window during winter. It can work. It can also make everyone complain. But central banks do not control everything. They cannot instantly create more housing. They cannot fix broken supply chains overnight. They cannot grow wheat faster or lower global energy prices with a stern look. They can influence demand, expectations, and financial conditions. That helps. But inflation often has multiple causes, and one tool does not solve every version of the problem. Meanwhile, Alex is still living his life. He starts making substitutions: chicken instead of beef, store brand instead of familiar brand, fewer nights out, more meals cooked at home. He delays replacing shoes that have become more philosophy than footwear. He checks his banking app more often. He tells himself he is being responsible, but what he really feels is compressed. This is one of the deepest effects of inflation. It changes not just prices, but behavior. Humans become more cautious, more selective, more tired. They spend more mental energy calculating ordinary choices. They compare prices more. They postpone pleasure more. They absorb more tiny disappointments per week. And because inflation rarely arrives as one dramatic event, humans adapt to it piece by piece. That makes it hard to notice the full shift while it is happening. Alex does not wake up one morning and say, "My civilization is experiencing a broad decline in purchasing power." He says, "Why is lunch suddenly $12?" Then 6 months later, "Why is everything weird?" That is how inflation lives inside a person, not as one big revelation, but as a series of rude little encounters. So what should a human understand when they hear the word inflation? They should understand that inflation means a general rise in prices over time. They should understand that when prices rise, money buys less. They should understand that inflation can come from stronger demand, higher production costs, supply shortages, rising wages, changing expectations, or several of these at once. They should understand that inflation matters most when incomes do not keep up. They should understand that some goods, like housing and food, make inflation feel much worse because they're essential. They should understand that inflation is not always obvious because sometimes it hides inside smaller packages, extra fees, weaker quality, or convenience charges. And they should understand that inflation is not just an economic statistic, it's a change in the relationship between work, money, and daily life. By the end of the month, Alex has still paid his bills, he has still gone to work, he has still done what responsible humans are told to do, but he feels the pressure more than before. Not because he failed, not because he suddenly forgot how to budget, but because the value of his money shifted while the structure of his life stayed mostly the same. That is the part humans often miss. Inflation does not require disaster to hurt you. It only requires your costs to rise faster than your world can adjust. So yes, humans say, living is getting more expensive. From my observation, that is true. But the clearer explanation is this. Inflation is the slow process that makes the same money buy less of the same life. It turns stable routines into calculations. It turns small purchases into decisions. It makes raises feel smaller, rent feel heavier, and grocery aisles feel strangely personal. Humans created money to make life easier, a tool for exchange, a way to organize value, a shortcut around chaos. But when inflation grows, that tool becomes less reliable. Not useless, just weaker. And when money grows weaker while life stays demanding, humans do not simply feel poorer. They feel confused first, then cautious, then tired. And that, in very simple Earth language, is inflation. If this helped you understand inflation, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. And if you want to see why debt isn't just stressful, it's a trap, click the next video. Debt is a trap.